Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into what happens when a single cooking gas cylinder pushes an entire village to its breaking point. It's a pretty powerful story, actually, about how scarcity can expose the worst, but also the absolute best in human nature. So our story kicks off with a crisis that a lot of people can probably relate to, a severe shortage of cooking gas. Now, for the people in this village, this isn't just some small inconvenience. It turns a daily necessity into this incredibly rare prize. And that creates a really tense, high-stakes environment for everyone involved. And right at the heart of this whole conflict is this one single object. This one metal cylinder is so much more than just fuel. It becomes a symbol of the community's desperation and really a test of its entire moral compass. And that brings us to the two neighbors who are right at the center of this storm. Their needs are totally different, but they're both incredibly urgent and their paths are about to collide in a very, very public way. Now, what's so interesting here is this isn't some simple story of good versus evil, not at all. On one side, you've got Rupa. She absolutely needs to cook a special sweet dish, kheer, for her daughter's potential in-laws. We're talking family honor is on the line. But on the other side, there's Rahul. All he needs is to make a simple cup of tea before a life-changing job interview. So you see two completely different but equally desperate situations. And this is where things take a really dark turn. The delivery man, a guy named Raju, he arrives with that one final cylinder. But instead of seeing a community in need, he sees a golden opportunity for profit. With just that one sentence, Raju completely flips the script. He turns a simple delivery into this tense public auction. He's literally pitting neighbor against neighbor, just masterfully turning their vulnerability into his own personal gain. So yeah, the fuse is lit. Desperation and pure opportunism collide, and the price just starts escalating way, way beyond its actual value. It's turning what should have been a private issue into a full-blown public spectacle. The bidding starts right away, and the price just explodes. It shoots right past the cylinder's actual cost to 2,200 rupees. And then it jumps again all the way to 3,000. By now, a crowd is starting to gather, just watching as this whole argument transforms into some kind of twisted village entertainment. I mean, the whole situation gets so absurd that it's a group of local petty thieves, the guys just watching from the sidelines, who actually call it out. Even they can see this isn't business anymore, it's just blatant exploitation. It's a line that even they won't cross. Finally, Rupa, thinking only of her daughter's future, she makes this absolutely staggering final bid, 5,000 rupees. And just like that, she's won. But the price is so outrageous, it leaves everyone completely stunned. But then, in this just crushingly ironic moment, right as Rupa is about to pay, a cry comes from inside her house. In her frantic fight for the gas, the very dish she needed it for has burned on the stove, and her victory instantly becomes meaningless. That moment of loss, well, it changes everything. The smell of that burned dish just cuts through all the tension, and it triggers this powerful chain reaction of empathy that just sweeps through the entire crowd. And you can really see how this moral awakening builds, step by step. Rupa's personal tragedy, that sparks Rahul's empathy. Then, his act of selflessness inspires the entire crowd to find its collective voice, and they reassert the community's own ethical boundaries. Together, they finally draw a line in the sand. And this is a perfect example of community ethics in action. It's not some rule written down in a book. It's that shared understanding that you support your neighbors, especially when they're vulnerable. And in that moment, the village chose that core principle over individual gain. So the story doesn't end with a winner and a loser. It ends with something far more valuable: reconciliation, shared resources, and a really powerful reminder of what truly matters. So, what are the big lessons from this last cylinder? Well, they're pretty clear. Scarcity doesn't build character. It just reveals it. And while one person's greed might be able to divide a community for a moment, it's empathy and collective action that ultimately define it. The path of exploitation, in the end, just leads to a dead end. Ultimately, this story leaves us all with a pretty big question to reflect on. It kind of pushes us to look at our own communities and ask, what holds us together when things get scarce? When the pressure is really on, do we turn on each other or do we turn to each other?